Folks, we're with Brenda Roberts. Brenda
Good evening.
is the candidate for Oakland City Auditor.
Correct.
And Brenda, without any further ado, what was your aha moment that made you say, I'm running for City Auditor?
Well, I have a long career in audit, both in public accounting, internal audit, both in government, non-government. And at this point in my career, when I understood this position was open, I felt like it was the right timing and the right place for me to give back to a city that's done a lot for me and my family. I've been here for 25 years, raised my 3 girls here.
Congratulations.
Yes. And I'd like to have an opportunity to give back to this city. It's a wonderful, diverse, fantastic, wonderful city that has a lot of potential, and I'd like to be just part of that team that helps it move into the next stage.
Who is Brenda Roberts? What's your background?
Background, I'm a CPA, went through public accounting. I've worked in internal audit departments in the federal government, in the city and county of San Francisco, Safeway, and others. Worked my way up in public accounting when it was a men's world type of environment to senior manager level. As I said, I've raised my 3 girls here primarily as a single mom, and have also been involved in my professional organization that promotes internal audit as well.
Now, as auditor, what do you see as the #1 problem that needs to be tackled from your perspective?
Now, let's make sure that we understand what the city auditor is responsible for.
Sure.
The city auditor is not a policymaker. The city auditor does not come into the role with a bias, a favoritism, an axe to grind, an agenda. The city auditor comes into the city with an open mind, a fresh viewpoint, so that all of the areas and issues of concern can be brought to light. And then from there, a plan for the audit plan, which is generally a multi-year plan, can be put into place. The city auditor has an open door, is open to any citizen, resident that wants to come and talk about their concerns. That's an important part of being a city auditor. So, city auditor is highly responsive, both to the community, to the city council. They're the leaders, the ones that do implement the policies based on the whims and wishes of the residents and citizens therefore. And the city auditor is one of those 3 lines of defense that make sure that those policies, those programs, those initiatives that are put into place are done so in a correct manner, and that monies are used wisely.
Now, what do you see as the #1 problem in Oakland? I know it sounds like a softball question, but...
And you've already asked me that.
You know what? Wow, folks, I'm getting to 52 years old, and it's showing. It is showing. Wow, you do a lot of these, and anyway, okay. Then, other question.
So let me go back to that.
Yeah, sure.
We talk about the #1 problem in Oakland. Why don't we talk about the potential of Oakland?
Okay.
We have a fantastic city. We have a port. We have an airport.
Right.
We have fantastic, diverse geographical aspect from the bay to the hills. We have wonderful, top-notch, world-class museums.
Right.
We have universities and colleges here, and we have great businesses that are here.
Right.
So what we need to do is take all of that we have and promote the potential of that to gain it into the next round.
Now, because I think the problem when we started was when Mabel was sitting here, we were going to talk about it, and we didn't. So we never really got a chance to flesh out that crime issue that seems to be...
The crime?
Yeah, because it seems to me that everyone mentions the crime issue, but as an auditor, what can you do to solve that problem, or can you?
Well, there have been measures that have put forth.
Yeah.
There's been monies and programs put forth. One of the things the city auditor can do is to say, this is what city leaders, based on their understanding of what the taxpayers and the citizens want for their community, have put into place. We've had certain bond measures and certain programs, both cooperating with other organizations that we just saw with community colleges and other universities, with their healthcare systems and so on, both as a preventative for violence and crime and as a means to be ready and be able to be responding quickly. So that kind of program would be subject to something that we could put, the city auditor would consider, is this something that we should audit? Is that program effective? Is the program delivering what it was intended to do by the policymakers?
If you're elected auditor, what kind of auditor would the city of Oakland get, or people of Oakland? I mean, in that role, when you take that role, what is your first task? What's your priority list? What does it say? What are you going to do?
Well, in the first 90 days, the city auditor, and this is what I would do,
Sure.
would be taking a good look at a very large, complex organization. And that means to look from budget to program to services, and put that on call it a heat map, risk map type of scenario. And doing a lot of talking to understand where are our most critical issues, some of which have already been risen to the top, and we've heard that a lot in the mayor debates and so on. From there, then design a plan as to where we will focus the city auditor's resources, and those should be focused on those that are the most critical, the most have the most concern to both the city leaders and to the community at large. It should not be because I have a thinking that a certain program needs to be looked at, or that I want to avoid a certain area because I like those people, or I have a favoritism or bias, whatever.
Right.
Again, the city auditor comes in with an unbiased, fresh viewpoint. Now, what else is a city auditor for Oakland? A city auditor is someone who's open, communicative, clear communications. That's part of the transparency that the city auditor professes. In addition to that, the city auditor is a means to promote that collaboration, bring about consensus. So it's not enough for the city auditor to say, in the audit reports and memos and reporting that comes from the city auditor's office, it's not enough to say, we have a problem here, there's a deficit here, there's a gap, there's a weakness. The city auditor is also part of that process that brings the people together, those experts, those stakeholders that are best tagged to solve the problem. Because it's not enough to send the message out. That's only one part. The second part, let's get together and solve the problem.
Now I want to clear up something, because I said that you'd been in Oakland for 5 years. You've been in Oakland for a lot longer than that.
Yes, I have.
25 years?
Yes, I have.
Born?
Not born here.
It was a trick question.
That's very tricky. Thank you. That's a compliment, too. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I'll take that.
Where were you originally born?
I was originally born in California, down the peninsula, down by San Jose area.
Okay. Now, in fairness to the person running against you, we talked about the Coliseum.
That's correct.
It's been my pet peeve. I think the Coliseum should be audited. I mean, what say you about that?
So just as I was talking before.
Sure.
So I would say to you, Zenny, let's have a conversation about that. You're a citizen, you're a resident of Oakland, this is a concern of yours, and I would open my door and say we need to talk about the the Coliseum project, and what are the areas of concern for that. Then we bring it, that's part of the listening part, so I bring that to the table. That, as well as everybody else's concerns as well, and as I mentioned before, we put that on a heat map risk type of an assessment to determine, in the timing of everything else and the resources we have, when and to what scoping do we look at the Coliseum for audit.
Yeah, because as I said in my previous video, which isn't up yet, I've been after this since Norma Lau was our auditor. Norma Lau, Roland Smith, I cornered him at a Christmas party, Courtney twice. And now, this is going back some years, folks. but of course, it's obviously your choice as auditor. It's just, but it's
no, it's not. It's not just a choice. So let me make sure we're clear about that. It's not that I have a preference or a bias or a thought. It is all of those concerns are put on the table and are given the proper weight and assessment to determine where should we be allocating our city resources for the city auditor's office. Now, having said that, so my promise to that would be, if I were elected, I would put that on the consideration list for certain. And then over the next 3 to 4 years, should that be put up to the point of an audit? Or Should it be a special project? Or it's a joint project? Should there be some collaboration with other agencies that could participate in that? That is only a thought. It's not a full promise to that, but more of this. These are some of the ideas that could be considered when we bring an issue like this to the table.
Shifting gears, in your travels and campaign, what have you seen or heard from residents about Oakland and their problems and concerns?
Well, in attending many of the mayor debates, and I'll come back to the issue that, again, the city auditor does not make policy. The city auditor does not initiate measures other than assisting the powers to be to develop action plans to mediate and to make the necessary changes that have been identified. However, the areas that I've heard quite a bit about are somewhat of the crime and the lack of responsiveness. We've also seen, as we heard in our last candidate you had in front of you, is the infrastructure.
Yes, he was here, yes.
The infrastructure, there's a lot of discussion about that. But when I hear a lot of those things, I'm also hearing almost tagged in. What we don't see is with these problems or issues or concerns, we don't see a mass exodus from Oakland.
Right.
We don't.
That's good.
I just walked outside Friday evening and the sidewalks are full.
Yeah.
People are here. So I always like to look at the very forward-looking, glasses full standpoint. If we look at all of that, we have a fantastic and a wonderful resource in Oakland. We've got some problems, but we certainly have the wherewithal to solve them. Hence, we have people who stay here, more than a 25-year resident. So, and I'm only one of very, very many who are the same. Stay in the same neighborhoods, enjoy the same type of events and venues that Oakland has to offer.
How can a person contact you if they want to participate in your campaign?
Yes, I am at robertsforauditor.com.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cool.